Welcome to Recovery, the Whole Enchilada, a podcast dedicated to exploring the many layers of healing and growth within the recovery community. I'm your host, Peg McDermott, along with my co-host,
Heather Hagerman.
Hello, dear Heather.
Hello, darling.
Okay, and we're going to talk today about living life on life's terms. I'd seen an article that came across my way not too long ago, and I shared it with Heather, and I said, this would be a great topic to talk about. And really, what it embodied really was living life on life's terms. And I thought that I think would be a very wonderful and engaging topic for us to share with you today. So I am very excited. I wanted to start with a couple things that have been happening in my life. And I know, Heather, you shared a couple things as well. But the gist of this reading that I came across was really when I stopped drinking, I thought that would solve all my problems. I really did. I thought, okay, this is what's causing my problems. And if I stop it, then my problems will go away. And that was not the case. What changed was me. Life remained life. And acceptance was a big key to my being able to live life on life's terms. And I've had recent changes in my life that were positive changes and growth producing changes. And at the same time, they're hard. And that's part of growth and growing up and moving on and just living true to our authentic selves. And that acceptance piece about, I remember when my mom died, when I was in sobriety, like maybe a year and a half. And then I had lost my brother several years ago and also came into some tough financial situations. And I didn't feel the need to drink through any of it. But they were very difficult life circumstances. And had I still been drinking, I don't know that I would have survived it, given those losses and changes. But the program, for me, the work I've done within our community took a hold of me when I needed it the most. It was about the kinds of deposits I was making into my spiritual bank account, meetings and talking to people and sharing with others what's really going on with me and being in a safe place to allow others to do the same. I mean, that's how we grow.
Sure.
So I wanted to start. I saw the article and I said, the article is Forewarned, Forearmed, being prepared is half the victory. And it's a daily sort of today's gift type of reading that I get every day. So here we are, living life on life's terms.
Yes, and I think about how it really starts with this reality check. And just like you were saying earlier, I don't know, but I thought when I got sober that everything was just going to be easier. And just even like my relationships were going to be easier. And granted, there's a lot more smoothness, but there are still sharp edges. And I think the earlier that you can come to this awakening, in a sense, that life is hard. And that there are hard times, and that's just the way life is. And the earlier that we accept this, the more prepared we will be for tough times. And so just that in itself, just let that land, because it's like, I think I just really, truly was not living in reality. And I think a lot of my life has been in sobriety is to lead me from the unreal to the real. It's a really interesting, so there's a mantra that I've learned, and it's just to get very clear when things happen to me, and there's that thing, it happens for me. But I remember in the early time periods, maybe the first year, I was always like, why is this happening? Why does this happen to me all the time? Everywhere I go, this happens to me. Why?
Mhm.
And then I remember my mentor, because we need wise people, and so I have a spiritual mentor, said to me, why not you? Heather. And that was hard to hear. But now I understand that. And so I think a lot of what I've had to do is to prepare for these hard times by really creating a foundation of self-care and healthy habits and sticking to them so that when these hard times come, I have a savings account. I always say put it in the bank. When somebody shares something really good with me, I go put it in the bank. And it's just kind of sort of that metaphor for just think of it as like when the hard times happen, we can take the investment we made in ourselves and overcome our problems. So we basically can do anything we can. Is it in a nutshell? I can handle all the challenges that are going around me as long as I am plugging in every day to my own self-care program, in a sense. That I'm getting up, I'm moving, I'm breathing, I'm eating good, healthy foods to ground myself, anchor myself into the day. I am digesting the most healthiest things I can, the best that I can. I am doing what I can to be of service to love. There's like a formula, a foundation which I need to live. And no matter what happens now, if I have that bank account filled up, I can handle the hard times. But it doesn't feel good. And I'll tell you, it doesn't feel good at all. But you know what? It's okay. I mean, I don't have to fall over and crawl in a ball and freak out or use something to feel better. I can just accept. It's just another one of those hard times. And I had a person I was working with call me who was telling me about all these things that was happening, the drain, the pump, the plumbing in her sink wasn't working, and this and that. And I said, it sounds like you're going through an ankle biter kind of day. And an ankle biter is an interesting thing because it does, in my understanding, it's not a kid. They used to call it kids ankle biters or something. But in my understanding, it's just these things that build up that nip at our ankles that are very irritating and frustrating. And then they can keep building on themselves till all of a sudden you're having a huge breakdown over all the ankle biters and can't come up and you feel overwhelmed. And granted, we all have that time that happens but we have to pause and stop and say, this is just one of those hard times. But I got to reach out to you, Peg, and I got to reach out to my people and say, I'm having a hard time. I'm having a hard time here. Please, just hold space for me because there's nothing you can do to fix this or anybody can fix it. It's just hard.
And sharing that, being vulnerable with safe people and sharing that and accepting that hard times are part of life. And we have different tools today to handle them. Life is so daily, right? And things come up that we just don't foresee, that we can be blindsided. And the fact is that initially when that happened to me, I'd be like a little pissed off about it. I'd be like, wait a minute, I'm going through all these changes and I've stopped drinking and I'm being honest and I'm showing up and I'm sharing, and what the F? Why is this happening? I thought life was going to get better. And life has gotten better because I've changed. And I wanted life to adjust to me. I wanted it to be what I wanted it to be versus me adjusting to life in a healthy, non-destructive way. The way I adjusted to life before was drinking destructively and acting out and really treating myself poorly and really treating other people poorly. That's part of this disease, is relationships and how we deal with relationships. And I just wanted life to be different. And what I learned from wise people like you is that we change, and therefore life does look different because we've changed. Our filter has changed. We're not expecting it to be different. Like, I have to look at my expectations and look at, how am I expecting this to play out? I would like it to play out positively, but am I prepared for it to not? You and I just talked about me working on a project that I was hoping would come through sooner than it has, and there is a delay, and it may not happen at all. And you know what? That doesn't feel great, but it's not something I need to act out on. And I know that no matter what, I'll be okay, because that means other things are coming. If this doesn't come through, then other things are coming that I can make room for. And like what you said earlier, it's like, why is this happening to me? It was this victim mentality. And therefore, if I was in that victim lane, I didn't have to take responsibility. I could immerse myself in the problem and not really want anything to do with the solution, because it felt good to feel sorry for myself. Adjusting to life on life's terms does bring a whole lot of peace and contentment and discernment and clarity that I never had before, especially during my drinking days. But even in the early days of my getting sober and really allowing my higher power to change me in a way that would be of service to others, that was just not in my vocabulary. I had no way of knowing how to do that. And I didn't have to know. I had to be willing. And what I found interesting was, as I was growing and putting more 24 hours together, I realized that I also had to prepare for life's joys and happiness and lovely surprises that came my way. And initially, when good things happened to me, I would do something to sabotage it, because I didn't believe I deserved it. And I didn't believe that the motive was clean and that there wasn't some ulterior motive or some payback that's coming. It was just a wonderful, joyful life event. And I had to learn, I had to see that I was pushing those things away as well. If anything, there was a time when I accepted more of the negative and pushed away more of the positive. It was just the way I was wired at the time. And that's changed for me, and my filter has changed.
I'll tell you this, the other little sliding a little bit more into my response to these hard times is that I feel like, so here you are going to hear my little ego part come out here. Like I'm in my 25th year of sobriety, and it should be better. The universe should be gifting me more better things now by this point, because I've done all my work. And it's unfair. It's unfair that my flashing light is on in my dashboard telling me that my tires are low. I mean, it's unfair that I have to do this. Like, why do I have? I'm just saying. But it's interesting how you do get to this place or I have gotten to this place, like, I should be rewarded for what I'm doing now at this point. But I can't tell you the most shocking thing, I think, for me is, so I feel, in all honesty, when I first got into recovery, it wasn't for me. It was because I wanted to do this for my kids. And I wanted to do that. I wanted to do this for my husband. I felt, and I was in there somewhere, but not in the beginning. It was basically, I did not want to become my mother to my children. Yeah. And it's that mirror on the wall became my mother after all. And so that just became my mantra, and I needed to change that. And so I did everything I could, read everything I could, tried to become the best parent. Granted, my children were 9 and 5 when I got sober, so there was a lot of nervous system, I don't want to call it damage, but yes, the nervous system things that happened to them with a mother that was inconsistent, on, off, unavailable, available. I mean, it's just the nature of this disease. And so I thought what I was doing, because I still was not doing this for me yet, I thought I was doing this because addiction was going to stop with me. The buck was going to stop here. And those kids are not going to inherit this. Not on my watch. And I remember the shock when the first time I realized and found out, I think I found alcohol hidden down in the basement or whatever it was. Something showing me that she was doing what I did as a teen. And you would have thought it was a knife in my heart. And it was because it became all about me. And so I had to learn that we cannot be controlling everything in our lives. It's just not going to happen. And it's better not to fight against everything either. It really, this whole thing is to really accept the reality as it is, the unexpected as it is, and then develop the resiliency to face what's happening. And that resiliency, for me, comes with combining all the things I need to do every day. And sometimes I thought if I did 2 meetings a day, I could put those 2 meetings in the bank and 3 meetings in the bank. And you know what? I think that does work at some level, but still did not stop my kids from doing what they were going to do, because they have got gifted the disease of ism. I, self, and me. So anyway, I just know that this acceptance over resistance is just working with things, making it like a reed that bends in the wind and not like a tree, like falling over and crashing, but just allowing for a less confrontational way of experiencing life's ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
And just to just finish this, I was talking to someone today, and I actually am noticing this a lot. And I used to notice this before, but for some reason it cycles back around. I'm doing it myself, especially with just what's going on in the world. I'm more negative, and I talk a lot more about the problem. And so I'm finding, though, that's happening as well as people talking to me. They're coming to me, they're talking about their problems. I'm marinating in the problem with them, and that is not working either. And so I'm deviating a little bit here, but I just want to say, when you have acceptance over resistance and you deal with these problems, you basically are beginning to say, I'm going to live in the solution, and I am not going to marinate in the problem or get into the washing machine with you, as I said before in other podcasts. I can't do this anymore. So when people are telling me this, I go, okay, so what's your solution? It's because I know you're calling me and you're sharing the problem. I want to hear what your solution is, and I can give you what my thoughts are. But what's your solution? People inherently kind of know
Oh,
what to
yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And so that's how I'm working. And when I do that, it frees me. Frees me, and I don't have to take on what's going on in them anymore. And I can just practice what I preach: acceptance over resistance. Just living life on these terms,
Mhm.
and not stop fighting it, and accept it, or not. If you don't want to accept that this person has let's say, a drinking problem, and you're living with them, and you don't want to tell them that they probably put a boundary down, that they probably need to go to get help for that, then you have to accept that they're just going to do what they do. They're going to sleep all day. They're not going to come home when they're supposed to come home. You just have to accept that that's the behavior.
Right.
Or you say, I don't accept it. Anyway, I know I'm going around in circles here, but this is really important, because I think living in the world like you're wearing a loose garment
Mhm.
is the way to really try to live a long life. Because if you're taking on everything, you're blowing out your heart, you're blowing out your gut, you're living in inflammation in your body. The body does keep the score. So it comes a time where you've got to protect yourself in every which way. And you've just got to live in a state of graceful acceptance. That's what it feels like.
Mhm. Good points. Thank you. Why do you think we do spend some time marinating in the problem? Like, what's the payoff there, do you think?
I think according to neuroscience, we are wired for negativity,
Yeah.
and we are wired to problem solve. And so when you have a negative problem, it's a perfect place to land, because the brain feeds on that. I mean, it's a survival. And what it actually does when you are marinated in the problem, and you are actually going into survival mode in your nervous system. So you're really you're not solving the problem, because the prefrontal cortex, the executive decision making of your brain, is offline. So it's interesting. It's almost like you're in the quicksand and you can't get out. You just keep sliding deeper and deeper.
Because our brains are wired to protect. So it's always looking for what's wrong.
It is to protect you and save you. It's a forever feature. Saved us as primitive man, but
Yes.
today it is killing us.
Yeah.
It's shortening our lives.
And so recognizing that, especially as alcoholics, because we take that to a whole other level. And I asked you that because immersing oneself in the problem does feel somewhat satisfactory. With, oh, this is good. I like rolling around in this dirt right now. And admitting that, I'm like, okay, I'm sitting in the problem right now and I have a choice here. Whereas before, I didn't think I had a choice. I thought this was supposed to be the way I'm supposed to react to life. And I was taught that I could respond differently. And there are times, though, like you said, our brain is what it is. It was made to keep us safe and alive. And so we're sort of positioned, or what's the word I'm looking for, where we have a propensity to look for danger and to avoid it. And that was something I thought was very interesting about the human condition. We have three brains: the thinking brain, the heart brain, and the gut brain. And I was so disconnected from my heart and gut brains, because they say the gut's the second brain of
Right.
our, in this. But our heart has its own sort of ecosystem as well, as far as energy. And when I was able to invite more of my heart energy into as a part of my thinking, it helped to soften me, and it help me to see and be more grateful. So there's gratitude coming from the heart energy for me, whereas for my brain was like a more negative, because that's how it's built. That's what's keeping us alive and helps us to function. But
Yeah.
is it our master, or or here to help support us as we go through this life? And integrating these three brains is really what makes for a whole human being experiencing life holistically, like 360 degrees: the good, the bad, the not great, the lovely, the difficult people, the wonderful people. We're not we're not as limited as we think we are.
Right.
We're not. And I needed much wiser people than I am to show me that was possible. They opened up channels for me to be like, oh, it's not just this narrow field of vision, Peg. Let's widen your field of vision a little bit more and be a little bit more open to other perspectives. And I wasn't going to do that at first because it didn't feel natural to me. But I realized if I didn't do that, if I didn't start accepting and maybe including another way of being in the world, I would end up going back out, because that that script that ran for me was that negative script and the victim script. And I'd be like, "What? I'm going to go out and get hammered." And it's the what if-isms that we have to watch for. And, and what you mentioned earlier about building a savings account through daily habits, it really works. Those daily calls or meetings and prayers and reading, listening to our podcast and other wonderful podcasts that are out there. There's just if we're looking for whatever we're looking for, we'll find it. If it's negativity, we're going to find it. If it's what's going on that's awesome in my life right now. And I know it sounds cliche, but it works. Gratitude works. It's the greatest life hack there is gratitude. And building that savings account of saying, what am I grateful for right now? And what's going well in my life right now? And sharing that with someone else. Because yes, we want to share what's difficult, but we also want to share what's working. I think other people need to see that, oh, I can get through this life event and not destroy myself. And I can embrace life's goodness and believe that I deserve it and that I'm worthy of it and worthy for it, for that wondrous gift of positivity and just love. And that is something that my life's vision was so narrow that it was just too difficult for me to embrace those things. And building that deposit of the meetings and the talking and the sharing and the prayer and the reading does make a difference when you're hit with a hard life event. Because the default for me used to be, I'm going to go out and get hammered. The default now today is the program takes a hold of me and said, what's the next right thing right now? What do you need to do? What's the next right thing you need to do? Let's pick up the phone and call somebody. Let's go to a meeting. Let's pray. Let's ask our higher power I ask my higher power for guidance and strength.
So just recognizing life will be both good and bad, and to stop and learning how to stop fighting against it. And so one of the ways that really helps me a lot is I just focus on the present. And that means when I get overwhelmed and I'm feeling like I have multiple things that are taking me out, phone call after phone call from persons, whatever's going on around me, I just have to take one thing at a time, and just, instead of worrying about the future, just saying, this is unpleasant, it is what it is and it will pass. And so I don't become have victim mentality around it. The support network, calling people, using healthy coping skills that we talked about, and the gratitude is a great one. I also have to embrace imperfection, because I think that's something that really attacks me. So I have to view setbacks as an opportunity for growth, and learn how to, in a kind way, sort of kind of forgive myself and move on. And I think one of the biggest things I think really that I keep having to do is I got to really focus on what I can control. And so oftentimes when something happens, does this have my name on it? Is this my property? And then I need to discern what I can do, what small actionable step I can do based on the present moment. And the last thing that you just shared, which I think is really vital, is this concept of connecting to a power greater than me, whether you call it capital L love or whatever that is for you. I have a faith in something greater than me, and I think that's a crucial component of living life on life's terms, because it brings me back to, what am I learning from this? What am I getting from this? What's the teacher in this? What's the lesson? How will I become a better version of myself through this? And I always believe that. I always believe that no matter what happens, and yet there are things that are so painful that I can't even imagine how I would get through them. And I've heard people share things that are beyond comprehension, that they humanly could get through it and not pick up a drink. But it is there because of all these things they're doing. But probably one of the greatest things is, and I keep saying this over and over again, we can't do this work alone, Peg. We need each other. We need to surround ourselves with people who understand our journey. We need close friends that believe in us and love us and can hear it in our voice when we're afraid, when we're not accepting things. We're trapped in terror, in that feeling of terror.
Exactly.
And terror will take us out, especially if we try to deal with it by ourselves. I need you, Peggy.
I'm here for you. And we are for each other. And
Yeah.
I just feel very blessed to have people like you in my life. It wouldn't have been possible if I was still acting out and drinking and doing the things that made life really unhealthy and unhappy for me. And so today life is healthy and it is happy. I had to do some work, as you have. We all do. I think it's a blessing to be an alcoholic. And I think it can be a curse. It depends on how we choose it. But for me, it's been a blessing because it's opened channels and doors and visions and ways of seeing things that I wasn't capable of thinking of, the ways that life could be different and better. I want to thank you for joining us on this episode of Recovery, the Whole Enchilada. And if you connected with today's episode, please share it and like it and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Your reviews help others find us, and your feedback helps us to shape future conversations. We love you, and remember that your recovery story, with all its flavors and its textures and complexities, matter deeply. And until next time, stay strong and keep growing.